Thank you for joining today's Tech Talk. I'm the producer, Lance Hart. Today, our techs will talk about fortifying your SOC for today's AI threats. John, take it away.
All right. Thank you, Lance. I appreciate that. I'm here today with the director of our Security Operations Center, Matt Thomas. And before we get started, just a reminder to the audience, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them into the chat and we'll answer them as quickly as we can. All right. Back to you, Matt. Let us know a little bit about yourself.
I'm Matt Thomas, the Director of Managed Security Operations at CBTS and Onyx.
Perfect. Thank you, Matt. You almost can't have a conversation today without the words AI.
Yes.
It's everywhere. For me, in the context of cybersecurity risk, I recognize that AI presents both risks and rewards or opportunities. When you think about Security Operations Center, the area that you're responsible for, what are some of the current AI trends that you see, both from the standpoint of like a managed detection and response or AI trends in the security threats that you're seeing?
Threat detection and response. So in the SOC, in the blue team in general, I look at really two different types of AI. There's the AI threat detection, which is most often combined with software, whether it's Microsoft Defender, whether it's Palo Alto, CrowdStrike.
Pick your favorite endpoint detection tool.
They all nowadays use AI and machine learning to make their products better.
Okay.
The other side is what I'm going to call the virtual analyst.
Okay.
Human analysts can always make mistakes. They have good days. They have bad days.
They're tired. They're whatever.
AI analysts never get tired. They always follow the same procedure, can tweak their behavior or their results. You tweak it once, you don't have to keep correcting.
Okay.
And it can be, a great teaching tool for human analysts because
particularly if they're a junior analyst.
Yeah, because it follows a set process every time. The ones I'm familiar with, you can look that process up.
So you can follow it along like a playbook, essentially.
Yes, exactly.
So it'll automate the playbook for you. Either a threat that's already been programmed into it is detected again, but a human analyst might have missed it. The AI analyst can say, hey, John, you missed this indicator of compromise, this IOC. You should really look at this sequence of events that I detected as the AI analyst.
Yeah.
I'm giving it a personality, but
we
know that's not really how it works. But so in terms of the AI analyst in your environment, how much training do you have to do? Because sometimes people hear this, oh, I've got this AI analyst in my SOC, my Security Operations Center. How much training do you have to provide to it for it to be useful for you? There could be a lot, there could be a little. How would you quantify that?
There are some customizations that I like to make. The AI right out of the box, the first day we started using it, we started to see value because
that's great.
It's really good at determining benign positive things.
Okay.
Right. So one of the easiest things
to call false
positives.
Yes.
Yeah, right. What it can do is quickly look at all the IP addresses, say none of these are malicious. It can look at URLs and just say, hey, none of this looks malicious. This is false positive.
John got an email from somebody. It didn't look right, but the email address is not malicious. We've seen a million other emails from this IP address and none of them have been malicious. Right. And it can do that not quite instantaneously, but pretty
quickly and pretty reliably with no additional training.
Okay.
The more malicious side of things is a little harder to train on.
Okay. So detecting the really bad stuff is harder to detect and harder to train.
Yeah, because that differs per customer.
Okay.
If it's a clear false positive, it's going to be clear false positive for 99% of our customers.
Okay.
But the malicious end of it, each company is different.
We were talking about file transfers.
Yeah, consistently does file transfers.
And they could be really large file transfers.
Yes.
You could be a photography company and you're taking really high resolution digital images, which could be gigabytes in size potentially. And you could transfer those every day, 5 days a week, and that would not be malicious for that customer.
Right.
And then you have somebody else and they don't transfer files over 10 megabytes.
Yep. A 1 gigabyte file transfer might be malicious. The AI analyst is going to have a hard time differentiating that unless you go in and tune it. The tool we use, you can go in and give it context memory for a customer.
Okay.
So I could go in and tell it, hey, for this customer, they're allowed to do file transfers of up to 10 gigabytes. I can even mention sites.
Okay.
And it'll be smart enough to the next time it sees one of those alerts to say, oh, is this below 10 or above 10 gigabytes, it can tune that decision.
Right. And you get fewer false positives that way.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how would you treat a new thing that you haven't seen before? Maybe it's not a file transfer. Maybe it's an inbound phone call. They have a voice phone system. They can take inbound voice calls.
Okay.
Is there a way that you would be able to detect if a threat actor is placing a call, if they came from a bad IP address, or do you have a list of known good and known bad IP addresses?
We do. That's standard threat intelligence. Phone calls are generally going to be phone numbers, which I do not have a current ingestion for.
Okay. So there's not a list of all the good phone numbers in the world.
No. If we had one, we could put on everyone's cell phone and you'd never get another spam call again.
So much for that. Yeah.
Yes. For IP addresses, there is absolutely, it's not 100% foolproof. IP addresses are very easy to get new ones to go to a different provider. That intelligence it really has a short lifetime.
Okay.
That is something that the AI tool does a great job of looking up automatically.
Very quickly.
Yeah, very quickly. It can check virus total or several other sites to say, hey, do these IOCs in this ticket look malicious or not? And like I said, the AI is great about that. Does it the same way every time.
That's helpful. And sort of the next topic that we have on our agenda is how AI is being integrated into the SOC. And we've already been talking about it to a degree. So we've got training opportunities. Let's talk about that a little bit more, because one of the themes that anybody in cybersecurity hears about is that there's thousands upon thousands of unfilled jobs. It sounds like this training can help with that. If you have people that aren't overly experienced in cybersecurity, they can have a coach that's virtual that would ramp them up to speed relatively quickly. Is that something that we're doing here?
It is. Every ticket we get, an analyst can see if it's assigned to the AI or if it's forwarded to them.
Okay.
And we actually have a timeout. So if the AI takes more than a certain time, the analyst can just take it over.
Huh.
So as a new analyst that starts, they can watch the AI make its decisions. They can go in and look and see, well, what did it look at?
Okay.
What searches did it run to get its answer? It's also a tool for them to use if they might not know the query to get at something. Well, they can ask the AI a natural language question.
Like, how did you know that this was a good IP address?
An example I used recently is just, what were the last 10 IP addresses this user logged in from?
Yeah, John always is signing in from his home, and his home IP address doesn't vary too much from a range of IP addresses. It might not be the same one every time. But.
Right, exactly. In analysts, I would like eventually for them to be able to do that search in the tool itself, but that's a good way to train the thought process.
Yeah.
To start asking the natural language questions. And as you get more experience, you're probably going to be exposed to more, Splunk queries or SQL queries or KQL queries for whichever tool it is.
Right.
And, you'll get better over time at that and be able to do that on your own, especially during incident response to know what to look at, because sometimes you kind of have to see the whole pattern in a large page to notice patterns.
Yeah.
So it's a skill they have to build, but they can use the AI to
help them build
that skill.
So one of the things we talked about is the AI tools that are in the SOC, but one of the things that CBTS and Onyx offer is that we'll help co-manage, so to speak, not technically using that language that can have different understandings what co-manage means, but people can own their own data.
Yep.
So some people might be using Splunk. Some people might be using, pick your favorite SIM tool.
Right.
So our analysts are able to query their tools. And so that's how you can also use AI to be able to better create a Splunk query.
That's exactly right. So the AI and a lot of automation packages, for example, they support a lot of different tools. They'll support Microsoft, they'll support Splunk, they'll support Cortex, CrowdStrike.
And they have different query languages.
Yes, absolutely. And so that's another learning tool, because you can ask that question of the AI, and then you can go back and look to see, it'll show you what query it ran to find that out. So if you write down that query for later to learn, it's possible to do with the AI.
And that is so much faster than doing a Google search to find out, what's the correct query for, finding an IP address that's, between this time frame and that time frame.
Right.
Yeah.
That's an easy way to get the AI to help show you the starting point for those queries. And a curious analyst will take that starting point and they'll start looking around and say, well, what other columns are available to me? And start.
What else can I find out about this?
What else can I find out? Right.
Yeah.
And that's the type of analyst you want to hire, is someone who's curious, and it's not going to just say, oh, the AI gave me an answer, I'm going to trust it. But looks and says, well, how did it make that decision? Is there any other information that I can find to add to it that may change the opinion of whether this is a true positive or a false positive?
Right, because we've talked about there is AI in the SOC, but you've got human beings looking at it as well. And the value that the human being brings is verifying what the AI returned as a result.
Correct.
So how much of the work of the analyst is verifying the result, and how much is being that curious analyst to say, what else is happening?
The majority of the time, the analyst is not going to have the time for every ticket to stop and do that full, what else can I figure out?
Investigative query. Yeah.
Investigative query, right? We try and train the analyst for is, hey, when you see something that's strange, escalate it,
Yes.
right? If you don't know, escalate it, because I want the analyst to move on to the next ticket, because there's one already waiting in the queue for them. And then an engineer or senior analyst can take it and
Do further investigation.
And if they learn something, that's a training. We train the analysts weekly. That can become a topic for that week's training. The AI saw this. This is the further digging we did. Either we train the AI to ask that next question, or if you see this, this is the question I want you to ask and find the answer to determine false positive or true positive.
Okay. So that's good. So some people would probably feel that there's less of a reason for a human to be involved in this type of, service, but that's not really the case. There's always going to be new threats, new things that have to be understood, because the AI is just doing what it's programmed to do.
Right.
So there's still a reason for us humans to be around.
Yeah. I think last time I looked, we're about 35% of our tickets are closed solely by AI. The rest have a human interaction in them.
Okay.
And, I've got goals to reduce that over time. I don't see that ever getting to zero. There always needs to be a human to pick up the phone, ask a question. I want our customers to feel supported. So I want them to be able to talk to a real analyst, a human analyst, and ask questions, get responses, escalate if needed, and to more easily understand strange use cases that a customer might have.
Yes, strange. Because you could have an occasion where that customer that only sends 10 megabyte files spins up an agreement with a new financial company, and they have to transfer 25 gigabytes of data, and that would throw off an alert, but you don't want to, sound the alarm and cut them off. And you want a human involved in that part.
Right.
So the next topic we have is related to SOC development. So what do you see on the horizon in terms of AI? Are there new developments that you're hearing about from the vendors that you talk to, or what's the future sort of look like?
I mean, AI is obviously a real hot topic right now.
Oh, yeah.
So that everyone's talking about, everyone's developing new things. It's changing daily. I think where it's going next is automating responses, as well as just determining true positive or false positive.
Okay.
So when I look at the tools the SOC is using, which tickets are there, how do we build automation, what responses are there, I think over time more and more of that will be automated, and it will be more a human analyst just basically says, yeah, we need to disable that account, and the AI is going to take care of it. That's a simple case that's automated in most places today.
Mm-hmm.
When you think about all the potential responses that we might need to take.
More nuanced responses.
And where a developer today needs to be involved to build it and to support it.
To build that automation part of it.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, the automation is very good. I have a customer who has developed an automation for people that tag any spam email as a phishing email. And it's not. They're a shop that has a good email security gateway tool. I won't name the vendor, but it's a really good one. They have a, click here if you think it's a phish. Well, it reports it, and they have a script that looks at that and says, oh, that's not really a suspicious email. That's an unsubscribe. That's a marketing email. And so they send a Teams message with all this pre-built templated language, including a button that says, We've checked the unsubscribe button on this email. You can actually click it. It's not malicious. Please do that. And, so it's a training opportunity.
Right.
So that kind of orchestration, it's automated and there's human oversight. That's the same kind that you're looking to do.
But that type of thing will break eventually. So Teams will get a different interface.
Yes. Microsoft will update Teams at some point.
That's exactly, so that's the hidden cost of some of that automation. It's not just write once and run forever. It's write once and update forever.
So we still have jobs. We're not going to be completely automated out of existence.
Well, and that's where I think some of that market is going next is if the AI can figure that stuff out, we have to spend less development hours on that ourselves.
Right.
And the AI can figure out the nuances around different use cases. It may sound simple to say, disable an account, but you have to take into account, is there a local AD that you need to disable the account on, or is it only Entra AD?
Mm-hmm.
Is it, do I need to go into Okta and disable the account?
Yes. Do they have a single sign-on environment and they have access to 50 other, software as a service applications. So that way you could disable a single identity in Entra ID, but if they have standalone identity for different applications, then you're going to have to escalate that.
Right.
There's only so much we can automate.
Yes. But an AI might find an easier time, handling those different situations without me getting a developer to code a big if then else statement.
Yes. I'm very familiar with those. If it's this, do this. If it's that, do that. Else, drop out and tell the analyst to get involved.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
You've got SOC analysts in the SOC. You also, it sounds like, have either access to developers, or are they developers that, are in your environment as a SOC analyst? How does that work?
I'm light on development, and I can always use more help with development. And that's actually one of the good things about AI is it can lessen that load for me.
Yeah.
Because the development mindset is not the same as an analyst mindset. It's
that's fair.
It's completely different.
Okay.
I'm not saying that there aren't analysts that know how to
write software,
but in general, it's not the same skill set.
You either have to have a really good set of requirements that you want the developer to write to,
right,
which takes a different set of skills too than just an analyst.
Yep.
And then you go back to the good old days of, I just want a macro. So I'm just going to hit record, and then I'm going to do the stuff I want to do and hit stop, and then I get my macro.
Right.
But so, AI can help with that.
AI can help with that, yes.
Okay. How much development, if you don't mind my asking, have you been able to do using AI in the SOC at this point in time? Are you 10%, 5%?
The cases AI closes by themselves is automation, right? So
for sure.
So that's about 35% right now.
Okay. That seems pretty good.
Now there's a lot of room for improvement there. And unfortunately also takes some development to get it to the point where I can get the AI to do things.
The agentic part of AI.
Yeah. So someone has to go and do the interface to say, hey, this is the cases we want to trust the AI to do. These are the ones that we want to do.
Right.
What response actions do we want to trigger based on the AI? So all of that is human right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my biggest bottleneck to that.
Yeah, that would slow down the response process. And sometimes people will see a ticket that says, hey, we've seen an alert. The CPU this is a sort of different scenario, but aligned to it, where CPU usage is spiked to 95% for the last 2 minutes. That generates a ticket. In your case, you might want to automate that to investigate to see if there's a process that's, run amok or whatever.
Right.
And some people might see that ticket get generated and not see a response for an hour. That would be frustrating if I was a customer and I'm like, am I still at 95%? Am I like burning through all my CPU cycles? So in your case, you have different kinds of events that you want to be able to automate the response to. Have you found a certain set of tools that are more helpful in automation? Like, are there certain tools that are more API friendly, I guess?
The two main tool sets I use today, and I apologize, I'll have to mention vendors to answer that question.
That's okay. I don't think people mind actually hearing the vendors that are being helpful.
Microsoft Sentinel and Palo Alto XOR are my two automation platforms today. Both of them have pros and cons. Some tasks are much easier to do in Microsoft Sentinel, and some tasks are much easier to do in XOR.
Okay.
I started integrating my AI with Microsoft Sentinel because that was easy to
Copilot
do.
is there.
It was just a API integration.
Mm-hmm.
The same is really true for XOR. I just have to get it all built the same way. So it's a matter of which tickets do I want to send to the AI?
Mm-hmm.
And this is one part that's actually very hard to do in Sentinel is SLA management. So
if you have a service level agreement of a 30-minute response time or 15-minute response time, it's hard to automate that inside of Microsoft Sentinel.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So what XOR allows me to do is set an SLA and say, I'm sending this to the AI. It's got, as an example, 5 minutes to acknowledge that it received it. And it's got another 12 minutes to respond.
The AI has that much time?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, that's fine. I just, in my head, I type in a question into one of these large language models and I get a response, albeit not always accurate response, fairly quickly. So there's more thinking, so to speak, going on with the AI platforms.
It's not thinking, it's asking. So the AI has to go back to CrowdStrike or it has to go back to Palo Alto, Cortex. It has to go back somewhere to look up more information.
Okay.
That's where the time is spent.
Interesting.
So the AI knows what to do pretty quickly, but it'll wait sometimes for responses. I've had a lot of problems with certain tools taking a long time to respond to the AI. And
that's an API integration between the AI and the tool.
Yep.
I mean,
it just sometimes bogs out.
Which is going to be on that vendor, whoever it is. We're not going to name names,
right.
But I mean, that's interesting.
And that's where the analyst needs to jump in and say,
yeah, because like 10 minutes to have an AI respond to a ticket seems really long.
Well, and sometimes the AI might see 100 IP addresses associated with one case.
Sure.
Well, it's going to send 100 different queries out.
That could take a little bit of time.
Right. Now,
Okay.
the analyst, the real human analyst, is going to look at that and it's probably going to spot check a couple of them.
It's like, okay, these are all in the same class C.
Yeah,
I'm just going to look at the first set and then I can make a determination from there. They're all coming out of AWS. They're all coming out of Azure.
Right. And
these are Microsoft IPs.
And they can make that decision easier than the AI can shortcut that decision. Now, AI will improve over time. I've had conversations with the AI vendor about that specific case and in ways around that. They're very responsive and they update things often.
That's good.
But it's
a field that's still developing. So we can't expect it to be perfect out of the gate.
Yep. So,
kind of CAI is a beta product that we're using in production. Never a good way to do it, but it is the world we live in.
But that's where my SLA is coming into play. And that's why XOR is a better tool for that today than Sentinel, because there's no built-in SLA feature.
Got it.
I tried to build some of that myself, but it did not go well.
I mean, it's hard.
Yeah. I can't just send a ticket to AI and just let it take as long as it wants to get back.
Yeah, that would be bad.
I owe a customer response, depending on the severity, within 30 minutes. Yeah. And so I can't let an AI spend 20, 25 minutes on the problem.
No.
I give the AI a limit of like 12 minutes, and then the analyst has to take over because they're going to need 20 minutes to
do their work.
Do their work.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's interesting because I have a customer who was hit with a scattered spider-like attack, and the attacker was using Teams functionality to call in to my customer, and the name on the call said IT support.
Yeah.
It was a domain that was created in Office 365 that had the Teams client, but it was a goofy name.
Right.
But, the big name that came across the screen was IT support. And, the end user had to be trained to know that there is no account called IT support. Everybody has names at this company. So you're never going to get this generic IT support call coming in. And it came from a known bad address that their internal tool, they have an MDR service, called them 90 minutes later saying, this looks suspicious.
Right.
Which is great. But in 90 minutes, a lot of bad things can happen.
Right.
So your SLA question is really important for people as they're thinking about SOC, which goes to the final question for us here today is, what are some of the best practices that you have implemented in your SOC environment? And for people that have their own, maybe it's a smaller SOC that doesn't run 24/7, maybe it's just 5 days a week. When you think about best practices, what would you recommend? Like establishing an SLA might be one of the best practices.
Absolutely. You have to have an SLA because it helps you measure the effectiveness of the SOC.
Okay.
And the effectiveness of specific analysts. Right?
Yeah.
You can't just go off the SLA specifically because there's a lot of things that go into it.
Yes.
So I see examples where one analyst may have 5 SLA hits in a 8-hour shift.
As in they didn't meet the
SLA 5 times. Well,
Okay.
and what that really means is they closed out a ticket past the SLA window.
Right.
If you look and say, well, the analyst that was with them on that shift did 0 tickets in that time, whereas they did 500 tickets.
Yeah.
You know,
Somebody's doing a lot of work.
You have to use common sense when you use those metrics to evaluate people, because
if I close out 50 tickets in an hour, but 5 of them were over the SLA timeframe, I'm still closing out 50 tickets.
Yes.
I mean, that's a pretty good day in a sense, you know, and the SLA doesn't sound like it's 90 seconds. We're talking about SLAs that are 30 minutes or 20 minutes or something.
That can go by really fast though when you're investigating.
Oh, yes. I've gone down many a rabbit hole on a completely different topic, and you're like, where did the last hour go?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's a pleasurable journey. Sometimes it's a frustrating journey.
Yeah.
Depending on whether you're trying to code something or get accurate information. So what's another good or best practice for a SOC besides an SLA?
Training constantly.
I think people would be surprised by that. I think people would be expecting the analyst in the SOC to kind of know everything, to know whether or not this is an indicator of compromise or if this is the beginning stages of a ransomware attack. But that's not true.
I mean, in security, everything changes. The software changes, the attackers change, the detection methods change. You get new software, old software gets updated.
Yeah. Gone are the days when we could rely on a hash value of a file to know whether or not it was a virus.
Yes, that's exactly right.
That ship sailed a while ago.
So you need to constantly keep up. And when you look at analysts, you've got 24/7. So you've got more than one analyst there, right? One analyst may learn something that the other analysts have not been exposed to yet.
Yeah, they get a cool incident or an event that they investigate and discover is not an incident. That's almost as valuable as things that really are incidents.
Right. That type of learning, it's best practice to extend that to the rest of the team.
Oh, for sure.
So one of the things that I encourage is analysts to sign up to give trainings.
Okay. And it's not like you'd have to present a PowerPoint for an hour. It could be 5 minutes on something.
That's exactly right. That helps the analyst because they have to prepare and think, well, what am I going to talk about? And sometimes it's hit or miss. Some analysts are better at that than others, but
some of it's experience. I mean, the first time you do it, it's rarely a good experience.
Right. I think that's a best practice, and continuous improvement is really the most important thing. So
it's a great word. So what do you mean by continuous improvement?
We have to constantly look at our process.
Okay.
Are we doing the right thing? Are we using the right tools? Are we using the right tools correctly? Where have we been successful? Where have we failed? Or how do we fix the things that we failed at?
How quickly do you look back? So one of the things when I do a security assessment for customers is we grade them. Like if I do an ISO 27001 or a NIST cybersecurity framework assessment, I ask them a bunch of questions. You know, do you have an inventory of your hardware? Do you have an inventory of your software? And depending on their answer, they're going to get a maturity grade.
Yep.
And the maturity grade for, do you have an inventory of your hardware? If they say, well, yeah, I just look in my accounts payable and every computer I own is what I know is on my network. I'm like, that's not a good indicator that you know what's on your network. If you come back and say, well, actually, I have a LAN sweeper running every day to detect new devices that are connected, and it feeds into this database that gets automated and cross-checked with my, antivirus tool, which has an inventory of all the software. I'm like, that's a much more mature answer to my first question. So when you think about your continuous improvement, how quickly do you do the continuous improvement and improve your maturity? Like once a month? I mean, once a week might even be too
I will
much.
say it's a constant.
Sure.
So there's a couple triggers for it.
Okay.
One, you have to talk to your customers.
Ah.
So feedback from customers is extremely important for a SOC.
Mm-hmm.
So we meet with the customers at least monthly.
Okay.
Sometimes there's a customer every once in a while that says, I don't want to do this. You just handle it for me.
Yes, we do have those customers.
We do have those customers, but it's a lot better to develop a relationship and figure out what their risks are, what's their business going through. Of the alerts we've sent them, are we doing a good job from their perspective? Or are we wasting their time? So the last thing I want to do is send every alert over the fence to a customer because I'm wasting his time. Yes. He's paying us to look at those alerts.
Right.
But I need his feedback to know how much he or she wants to see. Does she want to see every alert? I do have customers that want to see every alert.
Yes. Proof that you're doing something
Yes,
valuable.
that's exactly right. And I have other customers where she might not ever want to see.
Call me only if the building's on fire. Otherwise, I don't need to hear from you.
That's exactly right. And that's where a lot of our continuous improvement comes from. We talk to a customer and they say, hey, I've been noticing this going on. And we say, yeah, we see that as well. You know,
we understand that to be expected behavior.
Well, and then, you know, we have to improve our process around that. The other side of it is our engineering team meets weekly. We have a bunch of stuff to review. That's usually a topic. What new things do we see this week?
Okay.
What things aren't working well, what things are working well. And, you know, I've got a great SOC management team that manages those analysts. And, you know, when we see things that takes corrective action to build better processes, and nothing's ever perfect.
No, but that's why it's continuous improvement.
That's absolutely right.
And that's a great place to wrap this up. Matt, this has been fantastic. I think there's some great takeaways for everybody that's going to sit and watch this, and we'll break it out into chapters so it's easy for people to find the pieces that are most important to them.
Okay.
So once again, thank you, Matt. I appreciate you sitting down here and talking with me. I appreciate it a lot.
No, thank you very much. I appreciate the invitation.
You got it.